you, and I don't want to waste too much time, but we would like to get into the whole thing about surrender. And I know we asked you what was, David chose the surrender to win, and I wondered what did you think of surrender to win? What was it to you? What was surrender to you? And I got a few comments, and I'm just hoping that this will be a participatory session where you can tell us what you think. Uh, the surrender to win, for me at least, I know David had his idea. Maybe David, you can start with saying what your idea of surrender is.
Well, okay, great. We could jump right into it. I was just telling you the story yesterday about my experience with surrender, and that was all about going into recovery, and it was really about giving up all my old ideas, deciding that enough was enough and to just let go. And what I was told and what I was taught, somebody used the analogy of being in a war. And when you're at war and one side is winning and the other side decides to surrender, that actually translates to going over to the winning side, letting go. It doesn't truly mean losing. It means reaching out and going over and saying, enough fighting, enough of my own strategies, enough of my own ideas, and going over to the winning side, to the side who's, I hate to say the word dominating or winning, and working with them to bring peace. And so I use that analogy whenever I'm trying to control outcomes, is to just let go.
Well,
But I know you told me a great story yesterday about your experience with surrender. And that is why we're here today, because I really want to talk about your experience with surrender, your book on surrender. So, and tell us what Mornings with Zizi is all about. Yeah. Tell us what's going on there.
You're stressed that Morning with Zizi is really to have a participatory program where we are not monologuing, but having a dialogue with full participation, always having guests and people contributing about their own experiences and so on. So, and to have joy and fun doing it, not being a very serious program.
Yes.
So for me, surrender really is a lifetime journey. You're in, and then you're out, you control, and then you lose control, and it goes on and on and on. Nice. For me, the surrendering actually started quite late in my life. Because when I was a child, I had polio and I had a lot of suffering, but it didn't affect me as much as in the middle of my life when I was at the prime of my professional life and everything, having children at the university level and being married and all that. And all of a sudden, I have this terrible accident and I ended not being able to complete my work. I don't know if any of you have gone an experience like that, but it's a very traumatic experience when you feel you're no longer enough, you're nothing, your job was really the one that was defining you, which you really discovered it has nothing to do with defining you at the end. So I went into a depression, a deep depression, and I just felt that's it, that's the end, because I wanted to serve and I will no longer be able to serve. So during the recovery part of it, I started, my psychologist kept saying, this is not really depression, this is grieving. Well, that was a lot of bull. Anyway, I started writing my life story with anger, with hate, with unrealistic expectations of people, with everything that you can imagine. So while I was doing that, I just all of a sudden felt, what is this? That's not me. That is not to have so much hate and all that. So I got up and tore everything. I just threw everything away.
Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, Zizi just used props. This is why I love you.
So anyway, what happened after that, that act of throwing and cutting and all that,
Yes.
all of a sudden I have this overflow of love. uh, I couldn't believe it. Like it just
Oh,
turned.
yeah.
I even wrote a poem about that, like doves of love, or like those papers came down as doves of love.
Mm,
And then I felt that so much forgiveness for all the people who had mistreated me during my downfall,
mm,
like people who wanted to get my job. And I just felt so much gratitude. Look
right.
at all what I have, and here I am being depressed. What for? Look at what I did, what I accomplished, in spite of the polio, in spite of all the suffering. So it
Right.
was a moment of an aha, a very big aha.
Right. Right.
That's what it is. And
Wow.
then that a couple of evenings after that, I had this miraculous thing of somebody hugging me like the whole universe and saying, "Get up and write." And that's when I wrote some of those inspirational books.
Nice.
Oh,
Ines Slavic says, surrender is for me letting go of control to just be. Do you agree? Letting go of control. What did we talk about yesterday about
yeah.
taking the reins,
Then
letting
giving
go, taking the reins, letting go?
it.
We're built for that. I mean, we're built for the logical mind does this thing where it has to solve problems, involve itself, get into meddle in the outcome. And so we hang on and we're driving, and then the car just feels out of control. We're just like, okay, I have to let go. And I feel like that happens. That's what I believe that's what you're saying, that you do this throughout life. It's this whole lifelong process of hanging on and learning to let go. Do you feel like it's a lot easier for you now to let go of the outcome than it
It,
used to
it
be
is.
when you were in your professional career and
Now,
driven?
now it is definitely much, much easier. And I'm happy to do it all the time. I just say, God, okay, you look after this. I'm not going to bother. Look after it, God.
Right?
And
Right.
it actually, so it's
It's
much,
easier, right?
much
It's like,
easier because we are really, I believe in this oneness. And
yeah.
every time you try to control, everything goes wrong.
Yes.
Everything goes wrong. That's could possibly go wrong.
I want to create this meme where it says, "Yeah, universe has my back."
Yeah, exactly.
Because that doesn't mean not. And I think a lot of people think that sometimes people, especially people who are new to new thought, think, well, I don't have to do anything. Let the universe. No, you have to do the legwork. You have to take the actions. There's really important um, actions that we get to take, that we're honored to take, right? And they feel right. They feel comfortable. They feel natural. It's the ones that,
Remember that our minds are always trying to protect us. So
right.
give us what we ask for. Like if
Yeah.
you're afraid of something, oh, don't do it because you're going to do this and that. Yeah. And the subconscious mind provides the mind with all the history of fear, of failure, you know, all these instances. So you
Exactly. That's what you said yesterday. The history of the subconscious mind.
So, but if you really, sort of come to terms with this whole thing, it's fun to say,
Yeah.
okay, and you actually can talk to God, say, okay, now I've done my part, it's up to you the rest. And
Yeah.
it does work out. It's just
Yeah.
because you give that positive attitude
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it comes down. One of the things I have to admit that I learned from this process is to listen to my inner coach, not
Yeah.
even the outer coach,
Right.
but the inner coach instead of the inner critic. We always listen to the inner critic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
doing this wrong, you're doing that. The inner coach tells you what you're doing well and do this, and you can do it, you're enough, all that kind of stuff.
You're right.
And the other last thing that I really feel important for me is the gift of receiving, being able to receive without problem. Because I know I had difficulty receiving all what you were giving me,
Right.
but you
You didn't
learn.
want my help. You're like, why are you doing this? What? There's something not right here.
Yeah,
And let's talk a little bit about that, because I think it's very, very interesting. Is I remember one of the very first conversations I had with you was that you were working with somebody on your book, and you really felt like you were taken advantage of, or you were hurt, or something went awry in that relationship,
I
and
know.
it didn't
Fine.
feel
Yeah.
it. And there it is. There's the subconscious mind with the history of, oh, people aren't looking out for my best interest. Universe doesn't have my back. This person, why are they trying to help me?
No, no,
Like,
I
right.
never
And
do it.
yeah,
Not with you. I
no,
never.
I know that not with me, but I'm saying, but that's the response mechanism is, oh, I've been hurt by this type of thing before. Do I want to venture back in and trust that this is going to be
That's why it was such like when you did all this, it was just like another miraculous thing that I experienced. Remember when I did something about it, you know?
right? It's a
I felt
hug.
hugged by the universe, truly.
It's a hug. I stole that from you. I was like, oh, the universe is hugging me.
So anyway, I maybe we should head off to the ask me part.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say that I think it's Tanya Falconer
And
says, hello, ZZ and David.
by the way, I'm still a vegetarian, Tanya, thanks to you.
Ah, wonderful. And then Ina says, inner critic. I can hear it many times. Me too. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one. So also, by the I'm just checking to see if there's any more comments. This is so cool. Surrender for me is letting go. Got it. So if anybody has any questions or any stories about surrender, or anybody has, I know I have a couple of questions, but especially Ines or Tanya, anybody that's watching has any feedback for ZZ, or anything to talk about the inner critic or the inner coach, which I really love that term. Please feel free to post your comments in the comment thread. And as this show evolves and as we get the technology much more fluid, we'll be able to bring people on live in the video, and we can all have this wonderful conversation in the future. So let's go. I think ZZ, I'm glad to see you both. Haha, Tanya. Yes. So, we have like a 25-second delay from our Zoom room to the Facebook page. So they don't even, nobody hears what I'm saying in the moment. So we kind of have to delay a little bit. But are you ready to move on?
Yes.
You want to do Ask ZZ?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So this is a portion of the show called Ask ZZ. And is it going to be one question?
Yeah, just one question.
Yeah. So somebody wrote into ZZ and asked a question, and ZZ's going to respond. So,
the question came from Heather, and I don't know because it came by email. I don't know where the person is from, but she said, I seem to attract men that are not available, married, divorced, single. What am I doing that attracts the men I don't want? My response was, thanks for contacting me, Heather. I'm delighted at your insight and recognition that we're all responsible for what comes to us. She didn't ask, why me? She said, what am I doing? Which is very good. And what I'm saying is that if you believe in the law of attraction, it states that whatever you send out attracts the same and comes even stronger. And I asked a few questions for her to ponder on, reflect upon it, that can help our future conversations. What's your vision of an ideal partner? What do you believe you do to attract the men you mentioned? What are the beliefs around divorced men and single dads vis-a-vis availability? What criteria do you have to consider a man as available or not available? What are you prepared to give and receive in this relationship?
wow.
Because sometimes those types of men, maybe some women don't want to give anything. They just want a free man who has no responsibilities. And so she has to decide.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't it, I always think of relationship, especially when I'm not single, but when I was not pursuing a relationship, I always felt like the last thing in the world I wanted was a relationship. That's when they came. So I was like, it like snuck up on me. I'm like, where did you come from? I don't want you. I'm busy.
That's exactly what it is. And I think sometimes maybe some of us women feel more comfortable around men that are married or divorced. There's nothing to fear in that situation. And then
Safe,
you
right?
discover that maybe you fell in love with that person.
Mm.
I
ZZ.
I did the same thing with my husband. I knew he was married and he had a daughter. So I talked to him naturally. I was myself with him because I didn't want any relationships.
Right, right.
So we fell in love and then discovered that he was divorced.
Ah,
But he had a daughter. So I
right.
was willing to put in whatever was required to, because I had,
I love that you answer the question with asking more questions.
yeah, that's always the
That's a
way
good
I
one.
do it.
So Tanya has responded with a very nice comment and a very good some feedback. Tanya says, "For me, the inner voice has always been the guru. The thing is, sometimes I forget to listen and get distracted by the outer world, third dimension, the reality. The more I listen, the more sensible and sharp it becomes." The more and that plays by the way, the more I listen to the third the reality or the guru, the more sensible and sharp it I mean, I'm paraphrasing and
So,
taking advantage of her comment, but
yeah,
I love that, Tanya. Thank you so much.
you are a good guru yourself, Tanya. Believe me, I never thought I'd become vegetarian. Anyway, I'm
What a
glad.
wonderful first show to
Well,
get
I'm sorry
off.
about the delays, but it was out of our hand.
These are great opportunities for learning to help us learn all the I didn't discover that thing about Zoom until this morning when I was doing my own live in my own group. And I was like, whoa. And
Maybe we should
sure enough, it happened to you. And I was like, oh. So what I've been recording this and we'll repost it in all your pages and then we will be better prepared next time. What we'll do, we'll talk about it after the show. Anyways,
thank you so much, and I hope you give us feedback and tell us what you thought. I'm sorry again, but
it was great. What? Oh, here we go. When I have heavy discussions with someone who trigger me, I ask the question, what do I need to learn from this situation? This person is here for me to help grow my soul.
is that Tanya?
Ines. No, Ines.
Ines, you're
Yeah,
so
Slavic.
sweet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I can't see any of your comments
Okay,
because
we'll figure it out later. Beautiful. It's very true. But isn't it hard? Isn't it hard, Ines, to you're having the conflicting conversation and being triggered and this person is weighty on you and in that moment you have to ask yourself, what am I learning here? It's like it's the last thing I want to do, but in hindsight I do often look back, right?
I used to always say, why me? Why me? Why me?
Right.
And then when I became a little bit less crazy and wiser, I started asking this question: what am I supposed to learn? What's the message?
Right.
Which makes me feel like you search. See, it's the question again, living
Yeah,
with the question.
I love it. I love it.
Ines, thank you, Tanya, for your participation, and we'll see you again. Love you all. Thank you, David. Thank you for all your effort.
I
Let's.
Yep, we'll talk after the show. Thank you everybody for joining us. There'll be more. Do we want to tell what the next topic is going to be? Do you want to figure it out later?
No, I think we'll figure. If they have come, if they want, they can put what they would like to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And if you have any suggestions about topics for shows, and more importantly, I'm leaving for a month. I'll be in Egypt,
Without
Zizi's home, and I will be in Egypt for a month. So Zizi's going to need guests on her show. Tanya, hint, hint, hint. Come and talk and have discussions with Zizi. She's learning how to figure out the Zoom room, and everyone is invited to participate and have interactions. And we're just really proud to have our beautiful Zizi doing her show.
I already talked to Laila. She will come
Oh,
on the
yes.
show also and sing and do some stuff. So we're going to have a fun time.
Yeah, it's going to be great. All
Okay.
right, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. I'm just
Bye.
making sure. Oh, there we go.
What's that?
I'm ending.